Happening now, curfew lifted, the good news for bars and restaurants here locally. Plus, how childcare is impacting efforts to get people back to work.
Well, the threat for severe weather has increased this afternoon. We'll talk about the storms, the timing, plus the weekend coming up as the news at noon starts now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
The curfew closing bars and restaurants at midnight will end next month. Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Governor Andrew Cuomo's office announced the news this morning, saying starting May 17th, the mandate will be lifted for outdoor dining areas. Then on May 31st, the requirement will be removed for indoor dining establishments. Additionally, officials announced that catered events can resume at residences starting May 3rd above the state's residential gathering limit of 10 people indoors and 25 out, as long as the events are staffed by a professional licensed caterer permitted by the respective local locality or municipality and strictly adhere to COVID-19 health and safety guidelines. Now, also on May 3rd, the guidance for dancing among attendees at catered events will be aligned with neighboring states, replacing fixed dance zones for each table with social distancing and masks. The governor's office says the 1 a.m. curfew for catered events where attendees have to provide proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test will be lifted starting May 17th, with the curfew for all catered events set to be lifted on the 31st. Well, starting tomorrow, New Yorkers seeking COVID-19 vaccinations will be accommodated on a walk-in basis at all state-run vaccination sites. That announced by Governor Andrew Cuomo. The move to expand vaccine access comes as infection rates are decreasing in most of the states. New York has averaged about 4,000 new COVID-19 cases per day over the past 7 days, less than half the daily number of cases at the start of the month. The new policy will drop the age limit for walk-in appointments. The state-run mass vaccination sites administer the Pfizer vaccine, which can be given to anyone 16 and older.
We're seeing a reduction in the number of people coming in for vaccines. We were doing about 175,000 vaccines statewide every 24 hours. That number is down to now about 115,000 vaccines every 24 hours. Well, maybe our distribution declined. It didn't. The demand is reducing. Fewer people are asking for appointments.
Cuomo says New York State will follow the guidelines announced by the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, allowing fully vaccinated Americans to go maskless in some situations as well. Child care availability is likely playing a big role in getting people back to work following last year's shutdown due to the pandemic in Chautauqua County. That's according to leaders in the industry who tell our Claire Galt that access to child care services are vital in the return to normalcy.
We have so many rural areas here where there aren't centers, so it's important that we establish some more in-home providers and also have options for second shift care, overnight care.
That's Beth Starks, Assistant SUNY JCC Professor and Early Childhood Education Coordinator, who says in addition to the rural areas of Chautauqua County, the city of Dunkirk also falls behind in child care availability. She says the $2.2 billion in funding from the American Rescue Plan allocated in the state's budget this year could be used to create new centers to fill those gaps. Out-of-the-box thinking, like encouraging businesses to offer childcare on site, could also be another solution.
If you were to give this benefit, or if you were to provide childcare on site, you now could have a tax credit as well.
Like many industries, over the past year, weaknesses have surfaced. However, Stark says it's not all bad news.
But I think that everyone has really recognized the importance of early childhood education, that you hear it talked about more, that more families are openly discussing maybe issues with childcare or paying for childcare or how important childcare is.
The funding allocated in the state's budget is also available to help families struggling with childcare affordability.
I think that people sit down and do the math. And if it's better for me and my family, By the time I have to pay for childcare and transportation and all the other issues, if it's better not to be working, then I'm not going to work. And so what we have to do, if we're going to look at this from an economic development perspective, is to remove those barriers.
Claire Galt, WNY News Now.
All right, Claire, thank you. Stark says if you need assistance with childcare, the first step is to contact the Chautauqua Child Care Council. You can learn more online at chautauquaopportunities.com. Well, the campaign to ramp up enforcement of construction work speed limits is underway across New York State right now. It's all part of the Operation Hard Hat initiative, where New York State Police are ramping up patrols in highway work zones across the state in their enforcement of the state's vehicle and traffic laws. The campaign, that takes place during National Work Zone Awareness Week, runs through this Friday. State troopers ask drivers to be extra cautious while driving through work zones. Police say the best thing to do is to slow down and move over to give construction crews needed space to do their job. Now, in last year's patrol effort, more than 1,700 tickets were issued by the state police agency alone. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now as we get a check of some local news and weather this afternoon, and the weather playing a big role of it. We'll get to that in just seconds, but first want to say hello to David. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to Connie, Ed, Chad, Linda, and Seth as well. Hopefully you all are having a good day. Well, now let's get to Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter, who's standing by in the First Defense Weather Center with a look over the area this afternoon, Dakota. And I know you and Andrew and the rest of our staff are really keeping a close eye on the sky today.
Yes, we are, because we do have the potential for some thunderstorms this afternoon, and some of them could be a bit on the stronger side to severe. Now, this is the satellite and radar composite, and you can see we actually have a few of these little light showers, maybe a couple of rubbles that are moving into the northern part of the southern tier going up to near Dunkirk. That's pretty much about it so far, but the risk has increased. Let's go right to Links 1, and we'll show you. This is the new severe weather outlook that was issued by the Storm Prediction Center this morning. All of the southern tier is in this yellow shade. That is a standard slight risk. That is a level 2 out of 5 on the scale, and this is where most of our severe weather happens, on standard slight risk days. So we do have this elevated risk. That means the chance for thunderstorms this afternoon has increased. 71 right now in Finley Lake with overcast skies, and the good news about the cloud cover is hopefully the cloud cover will help to initiate, will keep down the initiation of thunderstorms. We're hopeful of that, but we did have the sunshine earlier. 75 was the high yesterday. The average is 62. 89 and 22 are the record highs and lows for this day. So through the afternoon today, early sunshine is going to lead to the clouds. The clouds have already filtered in. Scattered showers and storms this afternoon, some of them strong to potentially severe, and it's going to be windy minus the thunderstorm development. 67 to 78 with a southwest wind, 15 to 25 miles per hour. The storms will continue early this afternoon into this evening. Then we clear out. Well, we still got more rain for tomorrow. Then it clears out for the weekend. We'll talk about it with that 42 degrees and sunny 7-day later in the show. Justin?
All right, a must-watch forecast coming up, Dakota. Thank you. Well, Jamestown Police will be seeing an upgrade to its fleet of body cameras very soon. The Jamestown City Council approved a resolution this week allowing the department new body cameras. Councilman Brent Sheldon briefly commented prior to the vote. He says that the purchase of these cameras will address multiple areas for JPD.
The current body cameras that the police department have been using are failing. They can't get parts, they can't fix them. So this is also goes hand in hand with our police reform plan to continue the transparency of the Jamestown Police Department.
Now, as part of the agreement, the city will pay Axion annually for 5 years to cover the costs of replacement and shipping for cameras that don't work. The remaining $2.2 million, part of the more than $10 million allocation in federal money to Chautauqua County, has been given out to dozens of local businesses. The Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency received the funds as part of the CARES Act last September. All the money is available to businesses and nonprofit groups in low-interest revolving loan fund. In total, 50 entities received funding that officials say will create 130 new jobs and retain more than 2,000 positions countywide. 2 other rounds of funding were issued in October and January. Applications, officials say, are still accepted, albeit the funding is limited to what is being paid back to replenish it. Those interested in applying are asked to contact the CCIDA office. Next here, a lot more to tell you about the latest push to keep wind turbines out of Lake Erie. But first, what we know about a fire that called hazmat crews to a local church. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
The George Barone Jr. Scholarship Fund is hosting its first annual Rummage and Bag Sale fundraiser. An inductee in the Chautauqua Sports Hall of Fame, Barone managed, coached, and assisted in youth baseball for 64 years in and around the Jamestown area. 100% of proceeds generated will be donated, which will provide scholarships to graduating Southwestern Central School seniors who partake in athletics. Learn more by checking out the scholarship on Facebook and joining us for the fundraising event.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Honest John's has what you're looking for. When you want it good, we're gonna give you lots more.
From freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has what you're looking for. And now 2 great locations, East 2nd Street and Fairmount Avenue. Order takeout or delivery today online at honestjohns.pizza.
You're gonna get it good at Honest John's.
There's an old saying, there's no news in the newsroom. Well, it's true. The time I spend at the anchor desk is just part of my day. Most of our time is spent gathering stories in the community, stories that matter to you. We can't do it alone, and we need your help. When you see breaking news or have a news tip we should know about, drop us a line on Facebook today, email our news desk, or call our newsroom at 488-7226 so we can bring those stories straight back to you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Hazmat crews worked to determine what cleaning solution sparked a fire at a Frewsburg church yesterday afternoon. Crews were called to Our Lady of Victory Catholic Church on Institute Street in Frewsburg shortly before 3 in response to a fire alarm in the building. Now, upon arrival, crews found flames in the basement of the side building of the church, along with a strong chemical odor. Frewsburg Fire Chief John Lindsay tells our crews the fire mostly smothered itself out before his men and women arrived on scene.
We got her fast enough to knock it down. It didn't go very far. It just burned around the bottom of the basement.
Now, multiple fire agencies responded to the call, including Kyantone, Falconer, and Lakewood fire departments. Well, New York State Senator George Borrello is pushing legislation to stop the construction of offshore wind turbines in freshwater lakes across New York. Borrello introduced legislation this week that aims to protect the ecology of freshwater lakes and clean water supplies. He says construction along Lake Erie specifically may cause adverse health effects by stirring up hazardous contamination that was embedded in the sediment of the lake. More than 11 million people rely on Lake Erie for their drinking water. The senator says evidence suggests that wind patterns generated by the turbines also have the potential to spread pools of toxic algae through larger portions of the lake, and the consistent vibration from them could negatively impact various commercial and recreational fishing as well. Borrello's wind turbine moratorium bill is now under review by the Senate's Environmental Conservation Committee. Well, closing in on day 100 of his administration, President Joe Biden will address a joint session of Congress tonight. He's expected to deliver a progress report on the promises he's made for the early days of his presidency, but also call on Congress to help with his next priorities. Karen Kafa is in Washington with a preview for us today.
Today's White House schedule indicates that President Biden will spend most of the day in final preparations for tonight's speech. Yesterday, the White House press secretary Jen Psaki said over recent weeks he's been consulting with his advisors, with policy experts, and even members of his own family to put this speech together. And what we will get tonight, we understand, is a look back at the early weeks of his administration and what's been accomplished, but also a look forward to some new legislative priorities.
On the cusp of 100 days in office, President Joe Biden acknowledging more work ahead, but touting U.S. progress against the coronavirus pandemic.
We've made stunning progress because of all of you, the American people.
Tonight, before a joint session of Congress, he'll outline what he'd like to see next, calling on lawmakers to continue the momentum from the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill he signed in March with a $2 trillion infrastructure and jobs proposal and a new proposal for education and childcare, also expected to top $1 trillion.
It will be a plan that will provide critical support for children and families, and by doing so, critical support for our economy.
Biden also expected to press for action on expanding access to health care and on police reform legislation. Present for dozens of these presidential speeches as a U.S. Senator and as Barack Obama's vice president, Biden likely to be guided by an understanding of the platform and its purpose.
It's not so much that the speech itself is persuasive, but that it's part of a larger rhetorical effort by the president to shape the agenda. And it's just a really high-profile event in that larger agenda.
Even with COVID limiting the number of lawmakers in the chamber.
He's thinking a great deal about what message he can send directly to the American people about what progress we've been made, but of course what challenges remain ahead.
The Republican response to tonight's presidential address will be delivered by Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. He is someone with a small business background and likely to speak to some of the areas where Republicans take issue with President Biden's economic proposals. He has also been deeply involved in talks with Democratic Senator Cory Booker and other Democrats about a bipartisan solution in terms of legislation for police reform. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Karen, thank you. As mentioned, that speech taking place at 9 o'clock. It'll be broadcast by major networks and cable news channels. The White House also plans to stream it online at wh.gov/live, as well as on their YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter pages. Well, grab your favorite mask and cape because today is National Superhero Day. Batman, Captain America, Wonder Woman, and the Hulk are all among the more popular characters. And although these superheroes are fiction, many of them serve as role models for children, and they protect and serve the public, while battling against evil, of course. Now, there are some non-fiction superheroes out there, including police officers, firefighters, teachers, and medical professionals, which we all came to love during the pandemic. People can honor the day by taking their favorite superhero to a meal and thank them for their efforts. Absolutely. Gotta get my Spidey powers on. Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. Let us know what you think about these stories and more in the comments down below. I really think that this day, Dakota, really is to honor those superheroes, and a lot of them over the last year we've seen firsthand. These medical professionals who, to this day, are still working super, super hard. And I think I've talked about this a couple of times. The unsung medical heroes, the people who work in public health, those contact tracers, those public health workers, the people administering vaccines. Everyone who works with the County Health Director, Christine Schuyler over in Cat County, Dr. Kevin Watkins, you know, I got to give them a round of applause today because they really do so much. And it's amazing to see the work front line. And I think maybe that's one thing people will have with them, as a little bit more of that appreciation for a lot of these brave men and women, where before, you know, we knew police officers, firefighters. I mean, that's pretty common, but doctors and other professionals too really do great work. One thing that we're definitely watching today is the weather forecast, and I know you and Andrew have been pretty busy this morning keeping track.
Yeah, and as we talked about during the first weather segment, the threat for severe weather has increased through the afternoon. Let's take a look at the radar very quickly, and I wanted to show you a wide view of the radar for a couple of reasons. One, because I wanted to show you what is kind of out to our west, that we still do have showers and thunderstorms out to our west. That is going to be this line right here is going to be what's going to be moving through over the next few hours, and that's going to bring the shower and thunderstorm chances. Also, we ran into a snafu today. The Buffalo National Weather Service radar is down for maintenance, so we don't have that to use, so we're kind of using a composite imagery of multiple radars stitched together. Let's go to the graphics, and it was a windy day yesterday for sure. 24 was the peak wind gust at the Jamestown airport yesterday, 20 at Dunkirk, and the winds are still going to be up today. That really is going to be the main factor with the storms through the afternoon. 70 as a noon hour right now, and we have the cloud cover, so hopefully the cloud cover will prevent thunderstorms from flaring this afternoon. Model guidance doesn't suggest that, but hopefully that will be the case and we can get by without any problems. Southwest wind of 10 and a wind gust of 23 miles per hour. That dew point is key. We're going to be watching that. If it rises up to around 60, that's always that, hey, I'm getting kind of unstable air here. So again, here is that slight risk for all of the southern tier in northwestern Pennsylvania. That's the yellow shade, a level 2 out of 5 with a standard with a low end marginal risk further up to the north. So the timing on this, we've adjusted it slightly based on the newest guidance here. So it looks like 1 p.m. will be the start time for at least the westernmost areas, and then it will be sweeping west to east through the afternoon. So about 4 o'clock, the storm should be out to our east. And again, strong wind, some large hail could be possible, along with some heavy downpours at times. The tornado risk, it is not zero, but it's not high either. There is a very low tornado risk, and it would be a spin-up tornado at that, but it's really going to be the damaging winds, the heavy rainfall, and the large hail will be our main concerns with these storms. So here is the newest run of Future Scan. It's a super high-res model, and I think this model does a good job painting at least what we're expecting here. So notice some of the showers and thunderstorms starting to blossom across the area here, and then these are going to continue through the afternoon hours into the evening hours. Again, when you get into the darker colors, that again indicates the better chance for at least some thunderstorm development. Showers and storms will continue this evening, and then as the overall atmospheric instability weakens, we'll just see some rain showers through the day tomorrow, and maybe a couple rumbles of thunder, but no severe weather expected tomorrow. So again, same thing I showed you yesterday. This is Storm Potential, which is a product that we have on Future Scan that tries to depict the better chance for thunderstorm development, and what we're looking for are the greens and the yellows, and you can see them right down here starting to come in through the afternoon. So that starts to indicate favorable atmospheric conditions for at least some thunderstorm development. And again, some of them could be strong to severe with those gusty winds, heavy rainfall, and definitely some large hail. So make sure you have a way of getting warnings this afternoon. The whole weather staff is here. We're going to be fully staffed through the afternoon, keeping you updated, but make sure you have the weather radios on and make sure you have those smartphone apps ready to go to take shelter should warnings be issued. The next 7 days are coming up right now, brought to you by 42 degrees and sunny, 62 tomorrow, all day rain showers, a few more scattered rain showers on Friday, but not a total washout. Saturday should be the best day, 57. Just a small chance for a rain shower both Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, with temperatures hovering around where they should be for this time of the year. We'll take a break and be right back. First Defense Weather is sponsored by 42 Degrees and Sunny, smokin' deals on smoking accessories. Learn more at 42degreesandsunny.com. That's 42degreesandsunny.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights.
Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
move over.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Finally here today, NASA's Ingenuity helicopter continues to outdo itself. Earlier this week, it successfully flew for the third time on Mars. According to NASA astronauts, the helicopter logged a flight that was faster, farther, and bolder than the previous ones, exceeding speeds and distance beyond what it was proved capable of doing here during testing on Earth. A camera aboard NASA's Perseverance Mars rover captured this video of the journey. The helicopter climbed 16 feet, the same altitude from its second flight, but this time it increased speed from about 4.5 miles per hour. Wow, pretty cool. Well, meanwhile, astronauts flying high above Earth are reflecting about their time in outer space. SpaceX Dragon capsule carrying 4 astronauts from 3 countries docked with the International Space Station. The crew celebrated as they arrived for a 6-month stay there. Astronauts took off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida back on Friday morning. They spent nearly 24 hours soaring through orbit. The spacecraft traveled an incredible 17,000 miles per hour. That's fast. The mission, dubbed Crew 2, marks the 3rd ever crewed flight for Elon Musk's company. This is also the first crew to make use of previously flown private-owned rocket boosters and spacecraft.
Most memorable is 2 days ago when the door opens and all 4 friends come out into the space station. Yeah, this is our communities looking for, the new members coming, taking over. We have a great camaraderie and the dinner was great. So the meeting people here is even greater compared to Earth.
Now, the astronauts will spend 6 months on the ISS studying living models of human organs. NASA hopes the research will advance the development of drugs and vaccines, according to the space agency. Wow, really cool. Thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. Let us know what you think about this more in the comments down below. Dakota, I think we're both space geeks in a way. We love weather, we love space, and what another great way. And I thought it was kind of ironic with putting the 2 stories back to back, which, it makes sense. They're related with space.
Right.
But one took place thousands of miles, hundreds of thousands of miles, I'd imagine even more, with Mars. And here on Earth, just, up in the atmosphere. I thought it was interesting. I'm like, we go from Mars to the space station. It's just to drive around the block,
Yeah, and the ISS is a very interesting spacecraft that's up there, and and I don't think a lot of people still to this day know that there's people who actually live aboard the ISS
all the time.
And every few months or so, a new crew gets launched, and then as you just saw in that package, 4 new crew members came on board, and then the 4 that were there, they're gonna
head back down to Earth. Yeah.
So they're constantly changing out the people, and the ISS has been up for I think over 20 years now. I think the ISS has been up, and there's a lot of concern about the future of the ISS. Are they going to keep it up? Are they going to pull it out of Earth's orbit after 2030? We're not sure what's going to happen with the ISS yet, but that's a wonderful spacecraft that's up there. And obviously, we get to see it sometimes on clear nights when you look up and you see the bright light in the sky and it travels.
Right.
That's the International Space Station.
We were talking about this last week about NASA's live streaming. They do an excellent job on their site and YouTube where it's narrated by NASA scientists who aren't part of the mission, but their job is to present the information. And it's so cool. You look at how far we've come from the moon landing to now with the technology of connecting to them live and talking to them and hearing from them. It's incredible. And I can't wait to see where it goes. Hopefully in my lifetime, we can go so much farther than we are now. So maybe not Star Wars worthy, but pretty darn close.
Who knows? Maybe Who knows? Maybe if the future is bright, maybe you'll be able to buy a ticket to have dinner up at an ISS-like craft.
Gosh, if I could go to the moon or something, oh man, that'd be awesome. Good to see Cindy. Good
That's
afternoon
date
to you.
night.
Thanks for joining us. Good to see Chad, Travis, and Ryan as well. Hopefully we're all having a great day. That's going to do it for us today. Of course, we tell you to stick with us because Dakota will continue to monitor the weather throughout this afternoon and keep us in the loop. We'll leave you with this live look over Chautauqua Lake. Have a great day. We're back here tomorrow at noon. Hope to see you then.